Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel Basic Text as we continue in with the personal stories. Um, for those of you who don't know me, my name is John Clayton. I'm a recovering drug addict and alcoholic, and I've been clean and sober since February 21st, 2021. And today's story is called Finally Connected. After a lifetime. And it's January 27th today. After a lifetime of feeling different, this lesbian addict found the key to connection in a common needs workshop. Finally connected. I spent many years struggling against the overwhelming tide of active drug addiction. As a lesbian, I felt hated and thought that life could never offer me the things that seemed to come so easily to others. Convinced that my sexual orientation was the ultimate problem with my life, I grew angrier and more defiant towards people and institutions every day. Alienation, legal problems, shame, guilt, loneliness, degradation, and despair reached such a frenzied cycle that eventually suicide seemed like the only option. From a hospital emergency room, I was referred to a treatment facility. I was introduced to the program through members who facilitated Narcotics Anonymous meetings in the treatment center. My only contribution to these meetings was the resentment, anger, pain, and hopelessness that surfaced nearly every time I shared. The meeting facilitators were always telling me things would get better, although I fought in every step of the way. The caring and concern they showed stayed with me. Eventually, I began to listen to what other people shared during the meetings. The group readings interested me in spite of my feelings that I was different from everyone else. I started to look forward to these meetings for temporary relief from my pain, confusion, and fear. One day, I realized that I was staying clean. I welcomed this change, like a drowning person discovering a float. This was my signing on to the program. I understood that the only way to avoid returning to the cycle of destruction I left on I left on the streets was to replace it with recovery. I uttered the words, "I am an addict," with new understanding. As I stayed clean, more privileges were granted to me. In the in the center, I attended outside meetings upon or sorry, I spent or I attended outside meetings, spent time with addicts who were willing to come get me, and went to activities hosted by various NA groups. For the first time ever, I was living and having fun without having to use drugs. Life had improved dramatically in such a short time, but I still lacked a real sense of belonging. Other addicts shared with me about being gay, but I thought that they excuse me, avoided sharing this in the meetings because they were ashamed. I wanted to attend a gay and lesbian Narcotics Anonymous meeting to finally have my unique lifestyle and feelings of alienation truly validated. Finally, the center allowed me to attend a common needs meeting. I couldn't wait to explain to the group how iconic this title was for such a meeting. My needs were not common. I was a lesbian trying to work a program designed by straight people. I left that first common needs meeting disappointed. No one brought up the obvious fact that being gay was different from the norm. The meeting did not run any differently than any other meeting I had attended up to then, and I had expected it would. I returned every week thinking it would be different, but the addicts there talked about the same things I heard in other meetings. It took some time for me to see that I was expected to get a sponsor, work the steps, and go to meetings, just like everybody else. And when I finally found the courage to explain my indignation and disappointment to another gay recovering addict, I got laughter in response. I was told that staying clean came first. The solutions to my problem would follow. I was amazed this person didn't recognize the injustice and hatred that gay people face in our everyday lives. Getting clean was wonderful, but could never resolve the real problem we confronted as gay, lesbian, bisexual, and transgendered individuals. I kept these feelings to myself, hoping that one day I could help another gay person to understand that it is possible to get clean despite the alienation and hatred we faced. Shortly after this resolution, the addicts who came to the treatment center excitedly announced there was going to be a Narcotics Anonymous convention in the state. Their enthusiasm and willingness to support us this convention won over the center director. I found myself on my first out of town adventure with one of the supporting staff. During our car ride, I learned that she was also a member of Narcotics Anonymous and believed that with the help of the fellowship, any addict could successfully work the program and learn to stay clean. She was part of the group responsible for this convention and most certainly for my attendance. We talked about staying clean all the way there, and something inside me broke just a little bit. I told her I was scared. Staying clean in the center was easier now, but I was scared to think I would have to leave soon and stay clean alone. That is when I heard the most profound thing ever told to me by any recovering addict. In the fellowship of Narcotics Anonymous, you are never alone. Never wanted to believe someone so badly. I was overwhelmed by the number of people at the convention. I wasn't sure what I was feeling. The next day, it was suggested that I volunteer to greet and hug people at the convention. This was difficult for me, but the other addicts didn't seem to notice my awkwardness because I had no better idea and nowhere to hide. I did a 4-hour shift. I attended the gay and lesbian workshop that afternoon. I was thoroughly drained from hugging and greeting and unable to voice my frustration and discontent. My thoughts were cloudy and I had to work hard to fight back tears. I listened to every drop shared at the workshop. Although the message had been shared at the other common needs meetings I'd attended, this was the very first time I heard gay and lesbian addicts talk about the internal struggles of learning to identify and realize it wasn't hatred from society that kept me from feeling connected. It was my own hatred I would have to combat. No one had done so much to harm to me regarding my sexuality as I had done to myself by feeling unique, victimized, and closed minded. Finding my place of peace would have to come through working the 12 steps with someone who had knowledge and experience. Maybe I was just too tired of block out the message that afternoon. All I know is that I could no longer find the energy to intellectually battle with people who wanted to help me. This is when I truly began to feel my way into the program of Narcotics Anonymous. The experience at that first convention changed my attitude about my own life, and I craved that powerful feeling of unity and group spirit. My willingness skyrocketed. I was ready to find a sponsor, share my thoughts, do step work, and listen to others. After leaving the center, I found myself volunteering for all types of service work: coffee making, greeting, stacking chairs, talking with newcomers. I shared at meetings about my struggles to understand the steps instead of about the feelings I found unacceptable in the world. No one in NA has ever turned me down for a service position because of my sexual orientation. Women in Narcotics Anonymous have provided me the opportunity to sponsor them even though I'm a lesbian, and when I am looking for a sponsor, being gay has never been a condition. The belief that my sexual orientation would always be a wedge between service meetings, and I enjoy the opportunity to be involved at that level. After some time in service at the area, I joined the planning I joined the planning committee for the very convention that sparked the change in my attitude. The opportunities to work with others and become a part of this fellowship have soothed the aching need I had to belong somewhere. Through working the steps and practicing the about myself of one of the gifts I have received is the deep desire to work with others. This is this is the medicine I apply to the old scars left by anger, fear, resentment, and alienation. My gratitude for this way of life cannot be expressed through words on a page. It is expressed whenever I have the opportunity to help other people on their journey of recovery. I thank the members of Narcotics Anonymous for creating space like Common Needs meetings where I can explore some of the feelings I dragged into the program with me. I had no idea the solution would begin with acceptance of myself. From the position of naturally developing the capacity to accept and care about others, it is truly a we program, and I have never been happier or more content than than I than to learn that I have always been just like everyone else. Wow, what a good story. She sure went through a lot though, eh? And it's sure not like that today. You know, I've been to what do you call it? A T. I can't even remember, but the LGBTQ. I've even been to those meetings. I mean, they're for both, straight, regular people. Well, see, I'm not even sure how to properly talk about that sort of stuff without being politically incorrect. But I've been to meetings that support both, and and it's true. They're just like every other every other meeting, other than I guess it does make it a little bit more comfortable for you know a person of the alternative gender or gender confused. I don't know. I really had to. I don't have the. I don't have the. I don't have the proper knowledge base to talk about that sort of stuff. And for me to do so would just make an asset of me, and I can do that without talking about different sexual orientations. Anywho, um, thank you everybody for joining me today. Um, I appreciate every one of you. Yeah, I really love the personal stories. I'm glad they added that section to the basic text. To really just really shows you just how like most everybody is. But anywho, thank you again for joining me today. I do appreciate every one of you. And if nobody's told you today that they love you, well, I love you, and we will see you again real soon. Okay, bye for now.